Welcome back, my psychic students. Today's devlog will cover character animations, specifically in Blender. It's going to be on the shorter side because the other work I've been doing has been on the script, which isn't ready to be shown yet. If you're interested in checking out the currently released games I've worked on, check out the Fantastic Kitty Rue, which I directed, and Liberty Belle, which I did the character modeling for. Both are on Steam. And you can support my game on Patreon, links in bio. So I've talked in the past about using ZBrush and Blender for character modeling and rigging. Oh, and since my previous videos, I've finished my models for Nicholas Strumps and Mrs. Grinsby. Now that all the characters in my game's demo are modeled, I'll need to animate them before putting them in engine. I've had experience before with doing this. In the Mariposa demo, for example, we created character conversations with various NPCs using different animated poses and facial expressions. These were put into Unreal Engine's sequencer system to blend them together and change poses at will depending on the piece of dialogue. In Kitty Rue, mostly static poses were used due to the more visual novel type of feeling. Only some poses had full animation for the sake of development time, and of course the dances were fully animated, once again utilizing Sequencer in Unreal. Sequencer is basically an in-engine cutscene editor. It allows you to change camera angles, play sounds, play and blend pre-made animations, and even adjust and create custom animations for cutscenes. This is the system we'll be using for dialogue, just like in Mariposa. However, one of the critiques Mariposa's demo got was concerning the animations. Some folks thought they felt too wooden and needed improvement. I agree. Since this was my first released game project, I had a lot to learn about animation, and also had limited time to make them. My strategy was just to make a few looping poses and facial expressions, then to use the Auto Blender in Sequencer to change the poses during conversations. It's not the best way, but it worked for the limited scope we had. We also had issues with getting the characters' eyes to look where we wanted, and other technical difficulties. Auto lip syncing was also just not in the cards at the time.
Oh, this place has an excellent vibe. Plus, the work's a good way to keep my physical being in repetitive, melodic motion while my spiritual mind roams free from its confines.
After studying other dialogue-heavy games like Psychonauts 2, which also uses Unreal Sequencer, and Sam & Max, I came up with more techniques to make dialogue animations feel more natural. For one, I'm going to be adding more handcrafted blends between poses instead of relying on auto-blending. 2, more reaction animations that aren't just looping breathing poses. I also intend to have the characters moving their heads and eyes more. They'll look at each other in different places, up and down, depending on their mood and the dialogue they're saying. We also want to experiment with auto lip syncing to make mouth movements feel more natural to the speech. I'd also like to learn more about Control Rig in Unreal to make fine-tune adjustments or add other little details to the animations depending on the cutscene. Speaking of Control Rig, I've been learning more about it in general. It's basically a way to rig and animate directly in Unreal 5. Since editing and transferring animations from Blender to Unreal over and over is such a hassle, involves plugins, rewriting animations in Unreal, and more, I'd like to use Control Rig to try and mitigate pipeline issues and improve animation workflow overall. I'm still new to it though, and will be using Blender until I'm sure of myself with Control Rig. Here's a small ad break sponsored by me. Rita Ragtime acrylic charms are now available on Etsy. Link in bio. So how do I plan these animations? First off are the more functional animations needed to make Judith a playable character. Walking, jogging, sprinting, standing, a few fidget animations, and jumping. Judith also has a special jump that uses her psychic powers to get up higher by making little magic platforms. This allows the player to reach high areas for puzzles. Oh, and she's got no facial expressions or blinking because those are added in-engine using blend shapes and other methods. What about dialogue animations then? Basically, I've been storyboarding them in Procreate first. I'll just sketch out different ideas for each character to establish their body language and personalities. For example, Gina's body language is more rough and animalistic. She loves acting and wants to channel a fluff bat as much as she can. Becky is dismissive, but only when talking with Judith, really. Marisol is the one whose animations are nearest to completion. I wanted her to feel cheerful, girly, and like a little princess. And again, keep in mind facial expressions are not on her right now. Lydia has square, forceful body language. Deacon is nice, but easily stressed out. Nicholas likes to sing sea shanties and eat sea salt crackers. Mrs. Grinsby is often afraid and anxious. As for Judith, as the main character, I've given her a lot more pose concepts. I hope to be able to get across her unique personality and to make her a memorable protagonist using good animation and writing. Obviously, I'm still learning a lot when it comes to character animation. It's easy enough to make a few keyframes, but extremely hard to master the craft. With how many things you have to learn to be an indie developer, it definitely feels overwhelming at times. Let me know what you think of the animations so far. I'm looking forward to showing you all these in-engine soon. See you in the next video! And make sure to check out Liberty Belle on Steam if you're interested. My game, The Fantastic Kitty Rue, is also on Steam. My Etsy store contains quite a few acrylic charms and posters I've been selling with my art on them. Rita Ragtime charms are available now. And of course, I would most appreciate it if you stopped by my Patreon page. Links to all of these things in the description. Thank you!